My friends, how are you? It is fantastic to see you for yet another video, and an interesting thing has been going on over the last few days that I wasn't even aware of. Apparently, according to a lot of different sources on the internet and on the news, Donald Trump hasn't made any public appearances for days now, 4 or 5 days, and I didn't even notice that was going on. Now, he may make a public appearance by the time I release this video. I don't really know. The guy's kind of unpredictable. But anyways, according to multiple sources, he has not been seen in the public eye in quite a few days. And you know, I was sitting here thinking the last few days of my life have not been near as stressful as they seem to have been most days, and I didn't know quite why that was happening. It's because I didn't have to hear that son of a bitch yapping all the time, apparently. So this obviously is leading to a lot of speculation from a lot of people about what is going on, and that is related to Donald Trump's health. Because as we know, of course, mentally, Donald Trump has been declining for a very long time. It has been a pretty rapid drop-off. During the campaign, he really went crazy, didn't he? He couldn't stop talking about Hannibal Lecter. He talking about electrocuting sharks. I mean, the campaign was, it was entertaining, but not for the right reasons. If you were going to watch somebody just make a complete asshole of themselves, you got your money's worth. If you're voting for that person to be your president, you're kind of fucking up, my friends, is what's going on. But we know mentally he's been going downhill for a very long time. And now we're starting to see that physically, Donald Trump is also in really bad shape. Donald Trump is a morbidly obese 80-year-old man that has been throwing cheeseburgers down his throat for fucking years now, and obviously that doesn't lead to necessarily the best lifestyle. On top of that, we, of course, have seen all the bruising going on his hands. Look, my friends, I'm not a doctor, so don't ask me what that is. There's plenty of qualified people out there on the internet that are sort of explaining it. But he's getting all these bruises on his hands, and they smear a bunch of makeup on it and act like we can't notice. Is there no one in his cabinet that knows how to blend some makeup? What's going on over here? But they're just not getting it right. But also, his ankles are just overflowing out of his shoes. Like his shoelaces are holding on for fucking dear life to hold those fat motherfuckers in there, right? And normally, my friends, you would be a little bit sympathetic, right? This happens to us all. We all get older. Unfortunately, there's an end for all of us. And at the end, it's probably pretty brutal, sometimes painful. Your mind starts to go. Your body starts to go. You can't do a whole lot. But when you're talking about a fascist wannabe dictator, it's hard to be sympathetic to what's going on. So, of course, there is a lot of speculation that Donald Trump's health is going downhill very quickly. Of course, we're not seeing him apparently in public near as much as we used to. And you know Donald Trump likes to have the camera on him, right? He's a huge fan of everybody paying attention to him. But we are getting a bunch of posts from Truth Social. There's still his pretty crazy, insane posts that are going on over there. But hell, for all we know, they could be doing like some Weekend at Bernie shit. You know, they just got his cold hands and they're typing away because only Donald Trump's chubby, tiny hands could type the way that he does. So that's a possibility. I'd say Donald Trump is probably still alive. He's probably still out there somewhere getting ready to annoy the living shit out of us even more, my friends. But we do know that this is look, this is just a fact of life. I'm not on here being a complete asshole right at the moment. Everybody gets old and we all die, right? Donald Trump has taken very poor care of himself over his life, and the reason he's still hanging on is because he gets that health care that presidents get that he then turns around and denies to the rest of Americans. See, most of us probably won't make it to 80 because we can't we won't have the federal government taking care of us like Donald Trump does, right? Fucking anyways, The point I'm trying to make is there are signs that the end is near for Donald Trump, and one way or another, because he's an elderly man at this point, and he's in very poor physical condition. And I've been thinking a lot about that, my friends. What does that actually mean? What is going to happen in the world in the event that Donald Trump doesn't make it through his full term? And I don't know. I have no idea, but it's a good thought experiment, isn't it? Let's think about it just a little bit, all the things that might happen. Well, first of all, obviously, it's going to create this massive power vacuum where a bunch of dickheads are trying to become the person in charge of everything. We know JD Vance is second in command, right? We're very aware of that. JD Vance would become the president of the United States. And a lot of people seem very concerned about that. And I'm going to tell you kind of what I think. And look, this is just what I think. You guys are welcome to throw it in the comments, whatever you think about this situation. I'll read through them, I'll entertain all of them, and kind of see what you guys come up with. But a lot of people say that JD Vance is more dangerous than Donald Trump. And when I look at that, I kind of have to disagree with that sentiment. I know that JD Vance is basically funded by Peter Thiel, I guess, and I would assume, I don't really know, they wanted him to be the president of the United States because they didn't have, Donald Trump wasn't going to last much longer. I don't really fucking know. But even with that being said, I don't think that JD Vance is going to be capable of being as dangerous as Donald Trump is, even if he wanted to be. And I say that for a couple of reasons, my friends. My last two videos, we have covered how the politicians in America are finally starting to stand up for us. But the last video yesterday especially, we covered how the people in America are reminding the government that we still have power. They are backing these fucking MAGA Republicans down, putting them in their place. Fucking the Democrats around the country in special elections are winning their elections in very red districts. We are seeing that the people still have some fucking power here. And I know, sometimes I sound a little too optimistic. Sometimes I sound like a cheerleader on these videos, but someone's got to fucking do it. Somebody's got to cheer for our future. I'm going to go ahead and do that, my friends. I don't think that, for a couple reasons, that JD Vance is going to be near as effective as Donald Trump has been. And look, I don't like saying Donald Trump was effective, but he appeals to a huge number of dipshits in America that don't understand the first thing about how fucking government works. He tells them a bunch of shit that they really like to hear, and they go, fuck yeah. What I'm telling you is that No Child Left Behind worked perfectly. This is how we ended up here. It's at least a contributor to how we ended up here. And of course, that's been the Republican agenda for a long fucking time, my friends. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If it wasn't for the Republican Party intentionally keeping America fucking dumb, they would never win any fucking elections. Think about what these assholes are up to, right? First, they're just always gutting fucking funding to schools and school lunches. So we got hungry kids getting shitty educations, and of course that hunger leads to them not fucking paying attention, which is not a good thing. They won't do a goddamn thing about violence in schools except thoughts and prayers. So now anybody that's in that mindset knows they'll probably be able to do whatever they want because the Republicans refuse to protect the fucking kids in the schools, and they got their propaganda networks, my friends. You got Fox News and shit like that out there lying their asses off to the American people. If it was not for dumb motherfuckers in this country, Republicans would never ever win a fucking election. That is 100% true. They did that shit on purpose. I promise you that. That's why they talk about somebody went off to college and turned into a goddamn liberal. Yeah, went off to college, learned something, and realized, oh fuck, I was kind of fucking up with all that, right? Yeah, it's amazing how once you get a little bit of education, you turn into a liberal. This seems like there's something there we need to maybe explore a little bit. I don't fucking know. But the point is that I'm trying to make with JD Vance is I don't think he'll be near as effective with speaking to that same demographic that Donald Trump does. For a couple reasons. Donald Trump was already asked if JD Vance was good enough to be his successor, and Donald Trump said no. Donald Trump told his cult right then and there that JD Vance could never do for them what he can do for them. So right then and there, Donald Trump caused JD Vance to lose a fucking ton of support in that MAGA base, is what I'm fucking trying to tell you. And JD Vance has absolutely zero fucking charisma at all. And look, like I said earlier about whatever, it seems like I complimented Trump a couple minutes ago, right? And I don't remember what I said, but I don't like acknowledging that he has charisma either. You just have to kind of acknowledge that he says the things that people want to hear. He repeats it over and over and over, and the people fucking believe it, right? JD Vance does not have near that kind of pull with the MAGA movement fucking at all. JD Vance wears fucking eyeliner. You know, the couch fucking part he might get away with the MAGA movement. I mean, we've all been in desperate times, right? Where we're like, fucking, I guess we probably all haven't fucked a couch, but you understand, like, you get what I'm trying to say, right? He'll get away with the couch fucking part, of course, but the eyeliner, that's not going to go real far with the MAGA movement. They're not going to like that at all. And JD Vance, and I'm speaking sort of as a rural American. I know I'm one of the well-spoken ones. I understand that. But JD Vance to, like, rural America, the huge portion of Donald Trump's base sounds like, how would you say it? He talks in a very different way that is not going to connect with the MAGA movement the same way that Donald Trump does. He pronounces his words. I'm not complimenting that son of a bitch either, but he talks very proper, right? He absolutely guarantee you he just reminds the MAGA movement of another fucking politician. They are not going to rally behind him the way they did with Donald Trump. It's not going to be nearly as effective. I promise you that. So yeah, we're still talking about it, but you know, I strongly disagree. I don't think JD Vance will have near the pull that he has with the people in America, right? And then another thing I want to talk about is Donald Trump also has a lot of influence over the Republican, the elected Republicans, you know, Senate, Congress, all that shit, where they're all in line to lick the boots of Donald Trump to do exactly what he says for quite a few fucking reasons. Quite a few reasons. The MAGA base is a bunch of people that I guess don't understand politics at all, and they think that things should just happen because Donald Trump says so, right? That's how they think government works. It's fucking bizarre. And the MAGA movement was put, I mean, not the MAGA movement, the Republicans, the elected Republicans were put in place by the MAGA movement fucking years ago because they started losing elections and getting primaried for not falling in line with Donald Trump. He's a fucking cult leader, my friends. So they started losing elections and getting primaried, shit like that, if they did not fall in line with what Donald Trump told them to do. So obviously it was costing them, some of them, their seats. You can point to a couple examples of that. Liz Cheney, and then there's, I can't remember his name. You guys probably remember his name. He's a Republican guy. Oh, fuck, I wish I'd remember that. Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger, I think that's right. If I'm close enough, so you guys know who I'm talking about. He lost his seat for going up against Donald Trump, right? And for that reason, the Republican Party is very much terrified of Donald Trump. These sons of bitches are selling out the entire country so they can keep their government job. It's a fucking entire generation of spineless fucking cowards running our government. And this will forever be remembered as one of the most cowardly times in America. But Donald Trump also is able to get his base to either threaten or commit acts of violence on his behalf, and JD Vance is just not going to have that kind of fucking pull. I don't think so at all. Nobody is motivated on either side of the aisle when JD Vance starts fucking talking about things. You know, you guys get what I'm saying. He doesn't inspire, he doesn't motivate, he doesn't you know, get the base whipped up into a frenzy, anything like that. He's extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? He's extremely ineffective, JD Vance. So, in the event that Donald Trump leaves the planet because he's an elderly man at this point, then of course JD Vance takes over as the next vice president. Of course, that's what's going to happen. And I had a fucking point I wanted to make with that, and I can't remember what it is. Anyways, I think a lot of these bootlicking Republicans that are bowing down to Donald Trump are going to try to test JD to see how much power he really has, because every one of them is a power-hungry son of a bitch that's just trying to be the king of the fucking castle, I guess. I don't really fucking know. But JD's not going to have the pull at all that Donald Trump does with the base, with the people. And the reason I say that is because the last couple videos we have really been covering how the people in America are standing up for what's right and wrong. Sure, he's funded by billionaires, of course he is, but we outnumber the billionaires by a fucking long ways. We're gonna be just fine. That's not a big deal. So I guess to wrap it up, because I always feel like I have points that I wanted to make, I think that once the cult leader Donald Trump is done for here on this planet, I think it will be similar to a lot of cults. I've heard you guys tell me that some cults have survived that, but a lot of them just lose all their motivation. The wind goes out of their sails. They're done with it. And I just don't think that the MAGA movement in general is going to continue on the same way that it does. And as for the Democrats, I'll just say this real quick. We got a good chance, I think, in the Democratic Party to start electing the right candidates, the people that actually want to do something for the American people, and we can actually start putting together a pretty good party. Because yes, while it is true that the Democrats don't have a very high approval rating, I think the reason for that is because they wouldn't fucking stand up for us, and that's frustrating. You know, if you put Chuck Schumer in front of me and said, this is your typical Democrat. Well, I don't approve either, Chuck. Get the fuck out of here. What the hell are you doing, right? Anyways, yeah, I don't see this as JD Vance being an intimidating person at all. I don't see him as being a scary, dangerous person at all. He'll try to be, but that's okay. By the time we're done with him just making fun of him on the internet, we'll have that eyeliner streaming down his face as he fucking cries his little eyes out because the internet was mean to him. JD Vance, as thin-skinned as Donald Trump is, JD Vance is not fucking built for this at all. And we could rein him in pretty fucking quick, I think. JD, don't scare me a little bit, my friends. All right, I gotta get back to work. Love you guys. Bye now.